do the right thing. The second thing is do everything best your ability, because then people will know you're committed to excellence. You want to be special, not to say, hey, here I am, but help other people and caring about people. See, a lot of you are going to be successful. You're going to go make a lot of money, and when you die, it ends. But hopefully everybody in this graduating class is going to be significant. The significant is when you help other people be successful. And that lasts many a lifetime after that.
Hey there, senior leader, and welcome to the Talent Sherpa podcast, where senior leaders come to rethink how human capital really works. I'm your host, Jackson Lynch, and today we're going to do something a little different. This is not going to be a diagnostic episode. It's not going to have a structural trap to name. I'm recording this the morning that I learned that Lou Holtz has entered hospice, and both of my parents traveled down the same path, so I know what that means. And when I got the news this morning, I felt compelled to honor a man who, even though he knows almost nothing about me, left a lasting imprint on my heart. You see, I'm a Notre Dame man, class of 1996. Coach Lou Holtz was my coach. Of course, not literally. I wasn't on the football team. Look at me. But if you walked through campus during those years, Lou Holtz shaped the culture you move through every day. His life philosophy was not confined to the football field. It was how people treated each other. It was what excellence really meant. So today, I wanted to share what I learned from him and why I think it still matters to how you lead. Now, before we get started, let me ask you for a quick favor. If you find value in these conversations, please take a moment and like and subscribe and follow the Talent Sherpa podcast. It helps more senior leaders find the show, and it allows us to keep doing this work for the larger HR community. Would be very grateful. And if you're a CHRO looking for practical tools, frameworks, and peer community, the Q2 version of the CHRO Ascent Academy is open for enrollment. You can find everything you need over at mytalentsherpa.com. Now let's get into this. And I know that not everyone here is as big a college football fan as I am. So for those who don't follow the sport, here is the brief version. Coach Lou Holtz won a national championship at Notre Dame in 1988. He's one of only 3 coaches in NCAA history to lead 6 different programs to bowl games. He is in the College Football Hall of Fame. And none of that is why I'm doing this episode today. Coach Holtz stood 5'10" on a very generous day. He once quipped that he had a face made for radio and a lisp made for silence. He was not physically imposing. He didn't command a room by walking into it the way some leaders do. He commanded a room, though, nonetheless, and he did it by how he treated the people inside of it. I watched him interact with groundkeepers the same way he interacted with boosters. I saw him remember names of people who had no business being remembered, including me. Not because it was strategic, but because it was the operating system that he used, and that's how it worked. Now, I think you and I have both seen that there's a version of leadership that performs humility. The executive who eats in the cafeteria once a quarter to be with the people. The leader who memorizes one personal detail before a performance review and then awkwardly talks about it in between a bunch of numbers. Like Lou Holtz wasn't this guy. He wasn't performing anything. His system was simple enough that it ran the same way regardless of who was in front of him. And I think that's pretty rare. Now, Lou Holtz had a gift for compression. He could say something complex and reduce it to a sentence that you couldn't forget. Let me share 4 of my favorite quotes of his and what they mean about how you lead. Quote number 1 is, ability is what you're capable of doing. Motivation determines what you do, and attitude determines how well you do it. Most organizations obsess over ability. They screen for credentials, experience, skill sets. I'm sure yours does the same thing. They build competency models and assessment frameworks. And then they are surprised when people who are capable underdeliver. Ability is table stakes. It gets you in the room. Motivation determines whether you engage the work. And then attitude determines whether your engagement produces worth having. The trap is building systems that select for capability while ignoring the other architecture that shapes motivation and attitude once somebody arrives. Role design, incentive alignment, mandate clarity. Those shape how people show up every single day. And if your organization keeps losing good people or watching strong hires underperform, it's not a problem with your selection system. The operating environment is. Second quote is, don't tell your problems to people. 80% don't care, and the other 20% are glad that you have them. Now, that sounds pretty cynical, but it's not really. Coach was not saying don't seek help. He was saying understand the architecture of attention in any organization. Most people are managing their own constraints. They don't have bandwidth for yours. It's not a character flaw, it's resource limitation. And the small percentage who do engage with your problems often have motivations that don't serve you. So the discipline is knowing who actually has both the capacity and the alignment to help. Everyone gets a professional version, not because you're being inauthentic, but organizational systems don't reward vulnerability. They reward clarity about what you need and who can provide it. Quote number 3 is, when all is said and done, more is said than done. Every organization has a gap between declared intent and executed reality. Coach named that in 9 words. This is the activity trap at scale. Strategic plans that never translate, commitments that exist in meetings then disappear once the calendar comes into play. The mechanism is simple, I think. Talking feels like progress. It activates the same reward pathways in the brain. You leave the meeting feeling like something happened. The dopamine hit is there. The system reinforced the feeling without requiring any of the action. So your job as a senior leader is to close the gap, not by talking more about closing it, but by building systems where execution is measured, visible, and consequential. What gets measured gets done. You've heard that 1,000 times. What gets talked about gets forgotten. And here's quote number 4. It is not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. That's not a wellness platitude. That is a systems insight. And honestly, it is one that I've had to live through as I've gone through some health issues over the last 5 or 6 years. 2 leaders can have identical pressures. One thrives, one fractures. The difference isn't resilience as a personality trait. It's the architecture of how they've structured their response to the load. For me, I focused on what I could control. I was grateful that I could show my kids how to handle adversity that is neither earned nor fair. In the business world, role clarity, decision rights, support systems, recovery rhythms, the leader who is designing how they carry their weight before it actually arrives is the leader who is still standing. The question is, how have you structured the way you carry your weight? Not how much you can endure. How much have you designed the system that holds on and that holds you up when the load increases? And if you haven't built that architecture, you're relying on personal tolerance and resilience. And those things are a depleting resource, even among the best of us. Now, I do realize that this episode is different. There's no playbook. There's no 5-step framework. Sometimes the best leadership lessons come from watching someone else and how they live their principles over decades. So I want to leave you with 4 takeaways from Coach Holtz's wisdom. 1, capability gets you in the room. Motivation and attitude determine what happens once you're there. Build systems that shape all 3, not just one. Number 2, understand the architecture of attention. Know who can actually help you before you spend capital asking. 3, the gap between saying and doing is a measurement problem. Close it by making execution visible and consequential. And 4, design how you carry the weight before the weight arrives. Architecture beats tolerance and resilience. So if there's one thing I want you to carry away from this episode, it's this. Your legacy as a leader isn't built into the big moments. It's built into the small ones, accumulated over time through a simple system that can run the same way no matter who is in front of you. And I hope you take that from Coach Lou Holtz. Thank you again for spending some time with me. And I appreciate you being a part of this community of senior leaders And a shout out this week to Coach Lou Holtz from South Bend, Indiana, now living down in Florida. And thank you for listening, whether you're tuning in from Mishawaka or Dublin. The community keeps growing, and it's all because of you. And Coach, you may be gone by the time this goes public, but if you can hear any part of this from wherever you are, probably looking down on us, I just want to say thank you for the lessons and for the example and for remembering a kid who had no business being remembered. And you know the story. I'm not going to share it here. May the rose rise up to meet you, and may the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, and may the rains fall soft upon your fields. And as the Irish blessing completes, until we meet again, may God hold you in the very palm of his hand. Go Irish.